stuff in order to fix problems. But ideally, we can avoid it, and that's kind of why we went back on some of those normalization procedures for PoE 2.
So one point, just real quick here about bleeding in particular, because you're talking about bleeding. Since you can't bleed on energy shield, bleeding style element builds are basically disabled against energy shield types of mobs. So feelings on that? Is that something that's just like, well, that's as intended?
Can't bleed on energy shield.
If you're running like unless you're breaking the energy shield, your hit's not going to apply bleed on energy shield, for instance.
I thought that
I don't think Mark knows.
That's even true.
I thought that the thing with bleed was
That's
supposed
true.
to bypass energy shield.
It does, but you can only apply a bleed if the hit deals damage to the life pool. So if you're playing CI, you're essentially immune to poison, care, and bleed.
I will take your word for that, but if that is how that works,
It wasn't
that
how it
is
was
not
intended to
how
be,
that
how
is
it was.
meant to work.
Yeah, it's supposed to be
I only say this because yesterday I heard someone upstairs
It has to work that way for CI to work.
talking about this and going like, people are just wrong. You can apply bleed to energy shield. Look, and then I was like, okay, but I'll confirm that after this. And look, if that is how that works, that is.
It shouldn't work that way for players.
Bleed was actually supposed to be like an
Not supposed-
anti-mage mechanic, not a like as in like you can bleed someone past their energy shield. So
Well, if
Wait, but then how does CI work? If
and I'm
that's how
wrong,
it's going to
then
work.
Quinn has thrown me under the bus because I asked that question from him. So
Well, again,
we could easily be wrong. Like it's a big
it also
happening?
could be that it has been changed internally and not yet externally. That is
Right.
another thing also. And like someone may have fixed this 2 weeks ago and we never got it live or something. Who knows? Like I'll look into it. It's not meant to work that way.
I'm so confused.
Moving forward here, we are on elements, and now we are into ascendancy swapping. Is the next topic here. So these are kind of going back to conversations we've had previously in interviews where you guys were debating it and you wanted to see after the launch of the game, where do we stand?
Personally, I still like not being able to swap. I know no one will like that hot take.
I
And
think it
there are
doesn't matter. It's
plenty of
fine.
other developers here, and I remember even pitching it, and I was like, "Is this your hill to die on? Is this what you believe?" But that being said, I still prefer that decision being ultra important, and I prefer that decision being locked in. But it's one of those ones that's really hard to rationalize why it's better one way or the other. To be honest, like it wouldn't be that hard to actually convince me the otherwise, because it is not the hill I would die on. That's for damn sure. But so I don't know. It's like I have my preference. I don't know why I have my preference that way. I guess I just like more decisions, especially about characters, to be a bit more final. But that being said, we have respecking of everything else. I don't know. I don't really know where we're going to go with this one, aside from like, sure, we'll reevaluate it and we'll see. But at the end of the day, we have a lot of developers that feel very strongly. And then we feel one way and we discuss it with those people and we kind of see where we land, but like we're not going to ignore, the opinions and preferences of our team, either our design team and whatnot, just to overrule it just because. That being said, I sit on one side of that fence for sure that probably the majority of players do not sit on.
I mean, I'm 55% in favor of re-rolling ascendancies personally, so it's very hard for me to argue against it when I would say that I would allow it, but I'm also, once again, like other people on the team feel more strongly.
I mean, what I would be open to is like, I understand you have to go online to have a look at what those ascendancy classes are, but I would be more open to having in-game things where when you're creating your character, I don't want to not in a way that wouldn't overcomplicate it for new players where they're like, oh, what are all these, what are ascendancy classes? What's going on here?
I'm not really in favor of that argument personally, because I don't think that you are equipped at the point at the start of the game to be